Shweta Bajaj reporting live from New Delhi. Today we are at what is being called the Ground Zero. This used to be an area where a lot of trees were there. Other than trees, there were also housing development project. But the Indian government decided to cut down over 16,500 trees in the Indian capital. This was being done to actually have a development plan. If I could quickly show you at the area right behind me. This area used to be full of these trees, and now it has become a dump ground for all the trees that have been cut over the last so many days here in New Delhi. 4,000 trees have been cut, but after that a people movement started. A movement that looked at the fact that how can a city like Delhi, which is under so much pollution, in fact, if I could give you a sense, excuse me, in the last couple of weeks, Delhi has seen an air quality index of over 999. An index at that level, the air quality becomes unfit, not just unfit to live in, but also becomes hazardous, and which basically means that most people could have lung-related issues. But despite that, the trees were being cut, which was for a redevelopment plan. All of this was happening in south of Delhi. The Indian government has promised to redesign the controversial housing redevelopment project for employees in South Delhi to avoid felling trees. But environment groups are actually skeptical about how that plan will pan out, and of course the protest that has been going on for many days, but peaceful protest continues. This particular area is being called Ground Zero, and people are starting to collect. Little children there really coming out with placards asking for trees not to be cut. And many Delhi residents really seeking the Indian government to not do this, because trees form an extremely important part of Delhi, especially in the case of air pollution and absorbing dust. And even if there is a replantation of trees, it is not going to really be compensated, because trees that have canopies and have massive shades are the one that the city needs. For many years, especially between the year of 2005 and year 2015, Delhi's tree cover has gone down drastically. It's gone down to as less as 0.3 trees per person, per capita, which basically means for every 3 person there is 1 tree. But a small yet a powerful people movement has mobilized. This particular protest starts in about half an hour from now, where people from all walks of life are joining in. Also there would be music, there would be bands and performances that will go on, and citizens themselves who are actually worried about Delhi's situation will be here to have a peaceful protest. If I could ask you, what brings you here?
Well, I live in South Delhi. I live about 5 kilometers from here, and it's in my colony. It's not happening to this extent, but it's happening. So anything that's around us, it's anyways detrimental to our health. Delhi's pollution is probably the worst in the world right now. My father has severe asthma, so we feel it all around us. And I think I came with my mother because she felt it was a cause that we both need to go for. It's standing up for each and every one of us. So we just had to be here.
Yeah. That's the reason why this entire issue has hit the heart here in Delhi, because most people here have been suffering intense pollution, especially in the last couple of years. This year alone itself has seen extremely bad pollution that was spread in the last 2 weeks. There has been rains in the last couple of days bringing down the pollution levels, but really trees becoming inherent part of the city and are really responsible for whatever breathing that the city does at this point. And that's the reason why people have decided to come forward and actually be part of this movement. The Indian government, though, in specific, the Union Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Puri on Thursday night had said that no trees will henceforth be cut in the process of redevelopment of Delhi colonies. He had tweeted that, and he had tried to reassure activists and people, but at the same time, the plan has, at this point in time, there is a plan to fell 14,000 plus trees to make room for 25,000 odd quarters in 7 different compounds. In fact, NBCC, which is a public sector undertaking which is doing the construction, had also floated an expression of interest to buy tree transplantation equipment, but like you can see, really dead bodies of trees strewn over all the way. If I could ask you, what brings you here on a Saturday evening?
Well, as my son, you spoke with him, I'm a part of this whole sad thing which has happened in Delhi, and I also built my house. I cut 2-3 trees and nobody said anything, and at that point of time I was so excited about building my house, I never thought of it. And now we're all suffering. I'm seeing things happening all over the place, and my husband's suffering because of this extreme pollution and everything. And I was just remembering my childhood in Siliguri. My house was near a neem peड़. I was playing under the mango trees.
Right.
Everything was with a tree, and it was called like neem gach ke wahan ghar hai. But now what is there? There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing like that in Siliguri itself. Like, I'm not here only for Delhi. I'm here for the entire nation. What is happening is, I'm sorry I'm saying it, but it's the builders who are doing it. It's a whole cartel. It's a mafia. They want to come and kill me, but that's the reason. Come to DEFCOL. It's such a sad situation. There's nothing. It's not the same place anymore. And look at our children. They are the ones who are suffering.
The texture of the Indian capital has changed over the last, especially over the last decade or so. Like I mentioned earlier, the number of trees that you see in Delhi itself has fallen down drastically, the density. The forest cover still remains good, but at the same time, even though the forest cover remains good, the density of trees has gone down drastically. This particular movement, especially in the area that it's happening, which is South Delhi, spreads across a large part of area. Till now, in this area itself, about 100 trees have been cut, but in all of Delhi, about 4,000 trees have been cut. There was a petition that was filed. The petition, there has been a stay order by the Delhi High Court. The High Court has said that till the 4th of July, there's a temporary relief, that there would be no further cutting of trees. But really, what happens after that still doesn't remain clear. There would be another hearing on 4th of July. But at the same time, this goes on. Really, this particular place almost becoming like a graveyard of what the trees were. And if I could move forward, there are the people who are setting up really for the evening that would be. And one man who has been spearheading this movement is Vimlendu Jha. He's an environment activist. Vimlendu, tell us, why is it so important for everybody to come here and really stand up for the trees?
No, I think it's very, very important to understand for the entire world that it is not any banner, not any person who's actually spearheading this movement. This entire movement started very, very organically 10-15 days ago when citizens saw that visual of chopped trees everywhere in Delhi. Some people got together, and it wasn't me, it was others who actually got together and said we need to stand up for these trees that are being fallen, that have been felled by the government. It's very, very important for people to uprise, people to speak up, people to stand up, because it's the government that is our custodian of our environment is violating our environment. It's the government that is supposed to be planting more trees, is supposed to be really fix our air, which is actually in a pathetic situation, is actually chopping off our trees. 16,500 trees to be chopped off for houses for our government servants, when those houses could be built elsewhere, those houses could be built around trees. It's actually not over the trees. So there is some kind of a mania that we are talking about. You're saying that development yes, redevelopment yes, perhaps, but not over the trees, around the trees. This protest is actually, look at citizens who have come from different parts of Delhi, because today it's Netaji Nagar and Nauroji Nagar and Sarojini Nagar. Tomorrow it could be Lodi Colony, and it could be
other parts of Delhi or other parts of India.
Citizens who want their right to breathe. There's a group called Delhi Trees SOS that got this entire thing together 15-20 days ago. They are all members of the community of people who draw their air from Delhi. We all have a stake in this business of trees. We're not here just for the sake of listening to music.
Tell me something. The government has given a press release in which it doesn't state clearly that they won't be cutting any further trees, but there are conditions attached to it. Are you happy with it?
Not at all. If you look at the condition that the NGT was supposed to be following, and the NGT had laid down a few conditions.
If I could explain, NGT is National Green Tribunal that takes care of the green cover in Indian cities.
Yes. So the first condition was that do not chop off tree at all, unless and until it's very, 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 very critical. And you've seen how the building will be built there, but they've chopped off trees here, which is at least 20 meters away from everything. Second was translocate as many trees as you can. And third was do compensatory afforestation before you really cut down the trees. Now, if you look at the history of compensatory afforestation in our country, it's really, really skewed because they have never planted. There's a case in April this year in Supreme Court. There's been a hearing that says that 90,000 crores of compensatory afforestation fund was not spent on environment, but was actually spent on building roads and fixing science labs. Right? So, and the other is that you cut off a 60-year-old tree and plant 10 saplings. What do I breathe in those 10 years when these saplings are growing? Third is when you cut off these trees here and you plant trees 20 kilometers from here. No, the ambient air quality of this area, by the way, AIMS is here. All these 7 colonies are around All India Institute of Medical Science. It's always been 230. Just last 2 days with the monsoon, we're breathing some air, but throughout the year, we breathe, I don't know what, as in PM 2.5 dose, morning, evening.
So what are our options as citizens?
Our options
on the 4th of July, or less than 5 days from now, is the next hearing of the Delhi High Court. Tell us what are our options.
We don't have a choice but to protest. We don't have a choice but to breathe. And therefore, we are here to just tell the government that you perhaps have bought air purifiers for ourselves. For us, these trees are our air purifiers, and we will stand up and we will not let you cut down these trees. Your redevelopment and development plan can go somewhere else, not be hanging on these trees. And citizens here have a stake in this issue. As much as the government think that they own this city, no, we own our air.
Right. So people movement is one thing, but when we go ahead, the government is going to come up with maybe a redevelopment plan, maybe it's going to come up with an alternate plan. What are the options really?
We have to be vigilant. We have to be vigilant. We have to always keep watching because, you know, that's what they did. That's how they cut off almost 50,000 trees in different parts of Delhi, developing several colonies. They chopped off a part of our ridge to build the fanciest mall of Delhi in Vasant Kunj, the fanciest mall in Saket. That's what they have been doing for the longest time, and we thought that was called development and redevelopment. No, the reason why Delhi hasn't become polluted overnight, because we allowed those malls and buildings and flyovers based on convenience to come up. That's why we actually are breathing dust and PM 2.5 today. So the vigil has to be on. We have to keep speaking up about these issues. Every tree that is chopped off, we have to question the intention of the government, because that basic premise that the government thinks about public good is false. Government thinks of private good. Government right now is a real estate agent and nothing else.
Thanks, Ramlendu, and best of luck for that protest. So a peaceful protest starting in some time from now, but as far as the Delhi citizens are concerned, extremely personal issue, because remember that most people today here, including me, who's a Delhi citizen, as a citizen itself, you suffer a whole lot because of the high level of pollution, which there is no way to actually cut that down unless and until there is drastic measures taken to control it. Otherwise, the next few years are only going to be far more dismal. That's it here from Ground Zero in New Delhi.
Okay, hi friends, good evening. Thank you for coming out.